a dark and stormy night here at Chamberlain Manor. The final ferry has just departed for the evening, and I assume if you're here, it's because you received an invitation to the will hearing of Margaret Porter. Or perhaps you've heard of Margaret's demise and have come with morbid fascination. Or maybe you don't know why you're here, where you are, or how you got here. Regardless, it looks like everyone's gathering in the drawing room to watch Margaret's newfangled video will.
Hello everyone. I'm aware this may be a very upsetting time for you all because I've made arrangements with the solicitor that when I passed away he would show you this movie clip. So if you're watching it, I guess I must have recently passed away. Now please don't be sad. I had a wonderful life and I've done many wonderful things and I had all you wonderful people in my life. And you, dear Geoffrey, you know how much Mummy loves you. Please just remember that and take some comfort knowing that Mummy and Daddy are together again. I did miss Frank. Anyway, you all may be wondering what I'm doing. Anybody who's anybody nowadays are making these silly movies, home movies. You know, one of these, they're making them. And I decided I wanted to give it a go. I also wanted to give you all a final farewell gift as part of the will reading. So I decided this would be the best way of telling you all about it because I wanted it to be a surprise. So I have paid for you all to come to this lovely Chamberlain Manor where I used to stay often with dear Geoffrey, and I think Doris, you've come here with me before as well. So I thought I'd pay for you all to stay here for one night, enjoy the wonderful food and the grounds and just enjoy each other's company and getting to know each other at a time of such sorrow. Then tomorrow, when the ferry comes back, the solicitor will return with the will and he will read out how I've divvied everything up amongst you all. I guess you're all here because you received your invite, so hopefully everything we've arranged is going according to plan. As I said, please don't be sad and mourn my passing. I loved you all dearly. There may be a few things that come out over the next 24 hours that you didn't know about. All I ask is please don't judge me. I wasn't brave enough to be honest with you all while I was alive. So, Geoffrey, especially you, my darling, please try and stay open-minded. I never wanted to hurt any of you. I really, truly didn't. And I am really, truly sorry. But, for now, grab a glass of wine. I suspect you're about to go for dinner. And enjoy the evening. Farewell.
Right. Well, now that the ferry has left and everybody's here after watching that video, I suggest we all take the time to get to know each other. My name, well, that's not important. I'm the butler and I'll be serving you this evening. So if you do need anything, please just let me know. I suggest you all take this time to get better acquainted.
Right, well I guess I'll go first, seeming I'm the only one who should be here really. My name is Geoffrey and I'm Margaret's son. Lost the family now and believe, frankly, this is all a bit of an upstage. This isn't really necessary. My mother made a bit of a deal when she passed, and now she's making a bigger deal now. I'm the only one who really should be here. And I think you're all here simply because you want her money.
I don't know how you can say that, Geoffrey. I've known your mother my whole life. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Doris. I was Margaret's oldest friend. We grew up together, went to school together. Yeah, this is a terribly sad time. I miss my friend Margaret. I mean, that day I was there when she passed. Well, not there. I'd gone to take Beryl for a nice long walk. I remember seeing you there, Geoffrey. Just before I took Beryl out, and I went out and we had this lovely walk. And then when I came back, there were all the police and the ambulance. It was such a kerfuffle. But you, Geoffrey, say you don't know why I'm here. Well, your mother, she did everything for you. She looked out for you. She did everything, and you just took it all for granted. You'll back me up on that, won't you, Reverend?
Certainly will, and no, far be it from me to take sides, because I just wouldn't want to do that. But it would behove you, Geoffrey, just to watch your manners and just remember that we all cared for your mother, Margaret. We've all got every right to be here. Your mother sent us all a letter inviting us here. My goodness. Well, yes, my name is the Reverend Matthews. I've been the Reverend here, or pretty much since I was a boy, as was my father and his father before him. We've been cornerstones in this village, in a village that I'm very proud to be a member of too. I think I've got to know just about everybody that lives here, really, and Margaret inclusive. She was a good friend. We worked together. We planned fates in other church communities, and we worked through people's problems together and help people out in that pastoral sense through their addictions and problems with love lives. Yes, that's my role, and that's where I've been here. I'd like to see the village grow. We've welcomed many people into the village, and they've all become vital parts of the running of our local community. So welcome you all, one and all. I mean, you'll remember yourself, won't you, Timothy, when I gave you such a warm welcome when you joined us?
Well, I sure can, Rev. Mind you, that was nearly 13 years ago, and you still consider me a newbie? But there is something I must tell all of you about the day that Margaret unfortunately passed. Well, Margaret left Aunt's early, and she felt unwell, and I went around to check on her to see if she was okay after I finished. And there was no answer, so I tried to look through the window and didn't see Esther there either. And so I went round the back, and I could see her slumped over a chair next to a still piping cup. And I called for help straight away, and the police said they'd contact me, and not heard anything since. But that was so distressing seeing Margaret like that.
Oh, Timothy, dear, I can't imagine how distressing that must have been for you. And so you're aware, I'm always here for you should you need a moment of quiet prayer and reflection. For those of you who don't know me, am Sister Nancy Sykes from the Blessed Heart of the Most Immaculate Virginal Conception Convent, back on the... Oh, goodness me. Sounds like there's a storm coming in from the sea. Anyway, I also run the orphanage, often ably assisted by young Florence there. And it's through my work at the orphanage in which I got to know Margaret. She was such a dear, generous soul. And I don't just mean financially, although she was always one to help out if anything was needed at the orphanage. She liked to make sure that all the children had something to open at Christmas and on their birthdays, and she was the first one to offer to bake a cake at a celebration or an event. She was there so very often, at least twice a week, sometimes more. But I think what I shall miss the most about Margaret was our little chats in the kitchen after her visits. Me with a glass of warm milk, and Margaret often with a tot of cooked sherry. Why, it's so wonderful to meet so many of you in person. I feel I know many of you intimately from what Margaret's already told me about you. Except, Florence, dear, I have to say, I didn't think you'd even met Margaret, so I'm incredibly curious as to why you're here at her will reading.
Well, I did only meet Margaret twice, but those 2 times I did meet her were incredibly special to me. I do wish I had met her more, but unfortunately she passed away. I also wish I met all of you. She loved you all dearly. She talked about you all so much, and I'm sorry, this is just so upsetting to me. I'm sorry.
Florence. it'll be okay. Don't worry. Don't cry about it. We're all here to help you and support you, and we'll do what we can. So, for those of you who don't know me, because there are a few strangers in this room, my name is Richard Dick of Dock Green. Blimey. That storm certainly sounds like it's getting worse out there, doesn't it? We're going to be okay on this island. We'll be all right getting home again as well, I hope. So yeah. Anyway, as I said, I'm Dick, and I'm the gardener around the village. So I do a lot of the plants in various places. I especially like doing them in the vicarage, and around the churchyard and stuff. So keeping the vicar happy, making sure he's happy with all my pansies, like to make sure they all look nice for him. So on the sad day that Margaret passed us, God rest her soul, I'd been round there working in her garden. You see, since her dear departed husband Frank left, I was doing what I could for Margaret to help her out. She was in the garden helping me, and she suddenly said, "Do you know what?" She said, "I think I'm going to go and have a sit down." She said, "I'm not feeling too good." So she went back inside, and that was the last time I saw her. I didn't want to go in because I didn't want to disturb her. She wasn't feeling too good. Oh, such a sad loss. Her and I have seen so much blossom over the years.
You over there in the hat. Haven't heard much from you. Who are you?
Me?
Yeah.
My name's Hank. I'm here to hear the will reading. I got invited and decided that it might be worth it because you've seen this house, yeah? She was dripping in money.
Excuse me. Hello? Yes, speaking. Yes, all present and correct. You mean foul play? You mean she was murdered? By somebody here? Hello? Hello? Well, seems that, we've lost our power and the phones have gone out. Luckily we have plenty of candles and all that kind of thing to keep us lit up. We have tried to preserve the history of this place, so hopefully it won't affect us too much. Well, that's quite a turnout. One of you here is responsible for Margaret's death.
Oh.
Well, there's no way of getting off of the island at this point. There's no phone line and the ferry isn't until tomorrow, so I suggest we just try and enjoy each other's company and maybe find out a little bit more about what might have happened on that fateful day.
Oh, I just can't believe it. One of us murdered her. No, that can't be right.
Possible.
As I think about it, you know what one motive for murder can be? It's love, isn't it? It's passion. Causes all sorts of crazy stuff to happen. I can remember Margaret getting a letter. It was I'm sure I've got it somewhere, but it was a letter from someone declaring their loves for her, and I said to her, Margaret, you should not be replying to that person. Clearly only after you for your monies. Or a lot of people were only after her for her money. I'm sure somewhere in my bag I've got that letter somewhere. Let me have a look. Oh, Ask. That's good.
You might be able to find out who wrote it.
Found it. I found the letter. Let me read it to you. Dearest Margaret, I cannot continue any longer pretending my love for you does not exist. Our history and all we have faced together has only brought us closer together. I know deep down you feel the same. So please be true to yourself. To quote our favourite song, let's face the music and dance. T X is from you, Mr. Twinkle Toes over there.
Looks like it.
Oh no, we only dance once a week. We're ridiculous. We wouldn't have enough time to fall in love with someone in a week.
No. You definitely dance more than once a week. I remember my
When?
mother often going out with you to go dance. That or she was down by the orphanage, but it was definitely more than once a week. Timothy.
Be wise, Timothy, to tell the truth.
It
Under
would.
the circumstances.
No, I know you danced with her a lot, and that is why I said so. I said to her, Margaret, you cannot reply to that man because he is a womanizer and he goes after all the lovely ladies with all their money.
You're just jealous, Doris, and I went after you.
Doris, dear, may I see that letter?
Of course you can.
Oh, dear me.
Oh, Timothy, you cannot deny it. That is without a doubt your handwriting. I would recognize it anywhere. Now tell the truth, dear.
I told you.
All right, fine. Like, yes, I wrote the letter to Margaret, and well, once Frank died, she turned to me, and if I wasn't there, she'd never have laughed again after Frank had passed. I just wanted to bring her some joy to her life through dance, and then she ended up bringing joy to my life more than I expected to. And as you can read in that letter, then you obviously know that I am more in love with her.
Grow up, man. Take a handkerchief.
Timothy, no one's accusing you yet.
Geoffrey, dear, you appear to have dropped something. What's this? Pawn receipts. But one emerald and gold brooch, one pearl necklace, and a pair of diamond earrings. Well, they, young man, most certainly are not yours. What have you got to say for yourself? You've been stealing from your mother.
Yeah, those were Margaret's.
She never had any reason to sell them herself. It must have been you, Geoffrey.
Your name is on the top of this.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Yes, I sold them off.
Oh.
And what?
Why on earth would you do such a thing? Your mother would have given you the shirt off her own back had you asked. So why on earth have you had to resort to stealing her jewellery?
She did everything for you, Geoffrey.
I know. Okay, I gambled the money.
Geoffrey, you promised your mother.
Yes, I know that, Reverend. I'm sorry.
Geoffrey, everyone always said you were a wrong'un. I had to tell your mother you were a wrong'un. She should have taken my advice. She should have cut you out of the will. Doing something like this and selling your own mother's jewellery is disgraceful, despicable.
And what about you, Reverend? Isn't this just your sort of thing, sticking your sticky beak into everybody's dirty little secrets, gambling and such thing? What have you got to say?
Hang on. Lay off him. He's all right. He's got a job to do, you know.
All right, Dickie. I don't need you to stand up for me. It's all right. Sister Nancy, I'm not quite sure what you're accusing me of, but I'm quite aware that Geoffrey had gambled once or twice. I'm quite aware of how angry his mother was and how she wanted to put a stop to it. It did get out of control, didn't it, Geoffrey? A good couple of years ago. You promised that you'd stopped.
Yes, I
promised your mother faithfully. In fact, I remember her saying, and this is pertinent now, I remember her saying that she would write you out of her will if you continued in such a way. You were going to bankrupt her if you carried on the way that you did. Why on earth didn't you stop? I mean, you came to me, we talked it through. We were all there to help you.
I wish I knew, Reverend.
Geoffrey, I'm so disappointed in you. I had such high hopes for my new family, and
I'm sorry. What? Who are you?
Yeah, your new family?
I didn't mean to say that. That's not what I meant.
Oh, well,
No, explain.
I knew she was shifty looking.
I didn't mean to say that. I swear. I just.
Well, you meant something by it. Go on.
Clearly.
Margaret's my mother, okay?
What?
Well, that's wrong.
No,
I'm her
she's
only
not.
child.
when I was left at the orphanage when I was a child, I was left with this necklace, and I spent my whole life trying to find out where it came from. You know, I went to the pawnbrokers and to jewelry people and just to see if they knew where it came from. And finally last month I found a lead, and it turns out this was Margaret's necklace, and that means Margaret's my mother.
No. You're lying. I gave Margaret that necklace years ago. And why would she have given it up? She wouldn't have given it up for anybody.
You could have got that necklace from a pawn shop. Like we know that Jeffrey's just been pawning off his mum's jewellery.
Yep.
I swear I had this when I was a baby.
That's okay, guys, she swears.
Yeah, Margaret never had a child. She, other than Jeffrey. Jeffrey's the only child she ever had. I knows it. I was her best friend from primary school. We've known each other our whole lives.
She would have told us if she'd have had another kid, surely.
Nancy,
All right.
you must know something about this. Please back me up here.
Now, yes, Florence, I knew that you told me you'd found your mother, and yes, I suspected it may have been Margaret, but Florence wasn't left at our orphanage, and unfortunately such records are confidential, so I cannot be sure. But yes, I had my suspicions.
Sister, surely you can access those documents to prove if this is correct or not?
Not from another orphanage, I'm afraid.
Why don't you call up one of your nun mates?
Like one of my nun mates, that doesn't have anything to do with confidentiality.
But if it's Florence's record we're trying to get hold of.
But it is also Florence's mother's record as well, which we have to remember. Yes.
We're all quite aware of how interfering the Catholic Church can be in finding out such matters. I'd be surprised. We could have done if you wanted to.
Indeed, I could not. Please do not be judging me by your own Protestant standards, Reverend.
What do you have to say that for?
Well,
You know about this, Reverend, seeing as though you know absolutely everything.
I don't know absolutely everything, and I'm bound to confidentiality. I mean, Margaret and I have known each other for a long time, longer than you, indeed, Doris. We're not saying that we don't believe you, Florence, but Margaret did allude that I'd really rather not say it. It's not relevant.
No, it's fine. You don't have to tell us anything. It's all confidential. It's part of your job, is what I said earlier.
obviously
But what did
confidentiality
Margaret
for
allude
you.
Well, Florence, do you have any other proof of this claim?
Last time I saw her, she did give me a letter. I'll see if I can find it when I go to my room later, and that'll prove it to you.
But there's no real proof then. I can't believe Margaret would just do that to her child.
You'll see tomorrow when I find the letter.
Not like Margaret. We'd have known.
Well, Doris, I know that you say that you walk the dog quite a lot. Surely there must have been a specific way for you to be able to come and go as you pleased to walk Beryl?
Yeah, no, there was. I had a spare key. I used to walk Beryl every day. Like, Beryl was more like my dogs than Margaret's dog. But yeah, I had a spare key. I helped with cleaning and around the house and walking
You
Beryl.
did a bit more than that as well, didn't you?
No.
I caught you many times snooping in business, which frankly it wasn't yours to snoop in.
It's not snooping, it's cleaning. I was just moving things around whilst I cleaned. I just
That's a lot.
and stuff.
I have to back Jeffrey up here. I'm sorry, Doris, but I have to say I always found you rather controlling of Margaret, telling her what she should and shouldn't do and encouraging her to do this and that.
I was just being a good friend.
I'm
After
not sure.
Frank died, she was on her own. I just tried to look out for her.
I wouldn't describe you as controlling, Doris. No, that's a bit harsh there, St. Nancy, but inquisitive, nosy, maybe.
Oh, I see. So you stick up for the village drunk and the gambler who's showing up at you showing your true face. But what else do you know? Oh, anything about me?
No, of course not. I mean, she might be the village drunk, but I don't think that means that she's going to go and kill our dear friend there in a drunken stupor. That would not be Doris's. That would not be you at all, would it, Doris?
No, that is not like me. She was my best friend, and I'm very sad that she is gone. As for you, Dick of Dark Green, I remember overhearing a conversation between you and Margaret where you were talking about your love for someone, and yet you would not share who this love was for, but you were so desperately in love with this person, and it was causing you all sorts of strife.
All right, seeing as you've brought it up and we're having this thing about giving out secrets, yeah, okay, I had a short fling with Margaret many years ago, but that was before I got enlisted to go and serve in the war. And whilst I was out there and things happened, and I realized that, you know, you've got to be true to yourself, and you know, and you've got to show your true feelings to people.
All right, Dickie, it's all right.
Yeah, but why would you declare that then at that point and not like back then before the war? That don't make no sense to me.
Oh, because I didn't need to back then. It was all, you know, just me and Margaret, and then war happened and other things happened, and I realized that, you know, maybe being with Margaret wasn't what I wanted, and I wanted other things.
So it wasn't Margaret that you were declaring your love about then? I'm very confused now. It might be the gin.
Nothing confusing at all. Richard was a good friend of Margaret's many years ago. They were very fond of each other. Richard went to war, things happened, things changed. Richard, that's it, isn't it?
Well, at least Margaret didn't actually make me keep secrets like some others do around here. Isn't that right?
But look, sometimes it's just wise just not to share things, you know. Not everyone can understand those matters of the heart.
Yeah. He knows people who keep secret. Hey, Hank.
What?
About you? You had me spying on Jeffrey and Margaret. I mean, I got some nice gins out of it, but all those years, you'd be getting information out of me.
Yep. What do you two have in common then? Why are you friends?
Well, we grew up together. Hank was there with us. Me, Hank, and Margaret, all friends together back in school. Surprised you remember him, Dick.
That was a long time ago, Doris.
It was. Many a gin has been drunk since then, but yeah, you seem very interested in Jeffrey and what Jeffrey was getting up to.
Well, yeah, like, I realised he was getting in with the wrong crowd. I know something about that, so I was trying to help him out.
You are the wrong crowd, Hank. You're the one who got me into gambling in the first place, remember?
What? I knew it.
I'm afraid you are mistaken, young man.
I think so. What else were you doing then?
You are a weak, foolish man, and you needed to learn some lessons in life. If I could facilitate that, so what?
So you got me. So you started me on this gambling path to teach me a lesson. Some lessons I needed to learn.
Shame on you, Hank. I mean, Jeffrey, you could have turned to us. You could have turned to the Lord. We were there who were helping you. Why on earth would you turn to Hank? I mean,
shut up, Reverend.
Hey, don't you start
up, you two, Dick.
What you should be doing.
Rev, you're so innocent. You're not so innocent either. You stay out all bloody night. You have more secrets of your own than anyone else's.
All Dick done was fall in love with somebody that perhaps he shouldn't have done a long time ago. That's not a crime. I'm sure you've done worse, Mr. Tank.
I've been sat here listening for a long time, and all I can say is you guys all talk a lot of nonsense.
Well, let's listen to some pearls of wisdom from you then, Hank.
What do you want to know?
Who do you consider might have done this murder then? You and your I am watching, I am listening, I'm observing, I see all, I know all.
I wouldn't want to hazard a guess at this stage, Rev.
Yeah.
But I've got my eye on all of you.
Don't think it's us we need to worry about, to be honest.
No. Like, Hanks, back in the day, you just, like, vanished off the face of the earth. You were there one day and then gone the next. I mean, what was that all about?
What's that got
I
to do?
knew it. I knew I recognised him from somewhere. It's just suddenly come back to me. You went to prison. That's where you disappeared to.
So, what business is out of yours?
What business is the one of us amongst us is a convicted felon?
So, one of us is a dancer, one of us is a reverend, one of us is a nun.
And one of us is a murderer.
No, I went to prison. I'm not a murderer.
But you've learned some good stuff in prison.
Oh. Hey?
I went to prison for releasing monkeys from an animal testing facility.
What?
And the reason you guys might think I've got a bee in my bonnet about Margaret is she was there with me that night. She ran away and let me take the fall for her.
So that does give you motive then.
How does that give me motive?
Well, you're annoyed with Margaret that you went to prison and she did not when you both committed the same crime.
Maybe
Bitterness.
Maybe I've taken out on her son. I thought maybe Margaret had invited me here to sort of make amends for what she's done to me by letting me in on her will. That's the only reason I'm here. I don't have to like the lady.
Well, that's just rude, isn't it?
Well, if you see sitting on some more information, you keep her looking around yourself.
What, Butler?
Doris seems to be sitting on some more information. She keeps looking over at Timothy.
Well, like, you know how you said I wasn't snooping? I wasn't snooping. It was just things I just happened to see around the house. And I do recall seeing a letter asking Margaret for some money. And Margaret was going to change her will to release some of this money. And it was a little bit complicated for me, and I probably had a couple of gins by then. But yeah, basically, someone was asking her for quite a large amount of money, and she had to like write to solicitors and change her will, and all a kerfuffle.
Do you know if she gave it? I mean, who is it written to?
We can't remember that. I'm sorry.
Doris. You and your drink.
I know. But I'm sure there was something in there about, I'm sure there was something to do with community or church or doing good things. She was going to make sure money went to the good things. Reverend, was it a letter to you?
It certainly was not. Certainly was not. What other churches? Sister Nancy?
Why on earth would you think it was me?
Because if it was the church, she would have told me, and she didn't. Suggest it was an alternative form of church.
You know, when I was trying to figure out who my mother was, I'm sorry, Sister Nancy, but I was snooping in the orphanage, and I remember finding a bankruptcy notice on the desk in the office. Maybe that has something to do with this?
That would make sense, you asking for money if you was bankrupt. Margaret had loads.
Is that why you were around Margaret's the day she went home early from dance? I saw you through the window. I went round to check if she was okay going home early. It's unusual. I looked through the window and you were there, getting very, very irate and aggressive towards Margaret. You stormed out the front as I hid round the corner in the front garden. And then after you'd left, I walked in and I said to Margaret, is everything okay? And she said everything was fine. Was it fine?
Okay, now I asked her for a donation of £2,000, but I wasn't angry about it at all.
Was this before or after you came to me asking for help, Sister Nancy?
I've never met you before in my life, Mr. Tank.
Sister, but she don't mind about lying. I set up a meeting with my bosses or some guys that I know who can, you know, sort her out with that money.
Your sort of criminal connections.
All they wanted to do was hide some of their property in the orphanage, and they'd see her with the £2,000. Don't remember that, do you, Sister Nancy?
I do not remember that, Hank, because it simply isn't true. Okay, now, I will confess something that I'm not entirely proud of, and it was definitely not my finest hour, but as Florence has explained, the orphanage is facing bankruptcy, and I did something which I felt I needed to do in order to save the well-being of all those poor, dear little orphans.
I'm just as equipped to do that. This is more lies, it's more stories. What is it wrong with human nature that insists that we start demanding stuff of other people and asking things from them? It's just unchurchworthy.
Reverend, if you will just give me a moment and stop making this all about yourself, I will explain exactly what happened.
I can assure you it's not about me, it's about you, Sister Nancy.
Never about you, is it? It's always about everybody else, but you don't care.
Thank you, Richard. Just look, did she give you the money or not? Because if she didn't, that gives you motive.
Well, if you will please just be quiet for 1 minute, I will tell you precisely what happened.
Right.
Now, as I said, this is not something that I am proud of. As a Catholic, this goes against all my beliefs, but we were desperate. And as I said earlier, I knew that Florence had found her mother, and I suspected, although I didn't know for certain, that it may have been Margaret. So, when I first asked Margaret for the money, she said she didn't have it. So so I suggested that she probably needed to find it, or I might just tell Geoffrey and some other people about Florence. And I'm terribly sorry, and I've begged for forgiveness every day since, but as I said, I was desperate.
So you were blackmailing her, basically?
Florence was Margaret's private business. You've got no business pushing it about.
Oh, well, I asked Margaret's forgiveness, and the very fact that I'm here must mean that she gave it to me.
And they call me a criminal.
Well, I think that's quite enough of that. To be honest, it's all getting rather heated in here. Anyway, what I suggest for the lot of you is that you go up to your rooms and keep yourselves safe. Don't leave. Stay up there all night. Sleep well. We'll resume this in the... Good night. Oh, and give your drink orders to Maid on your way out. Thank you.
Certainly been an incredibly dramatic evening. Margaret had passed away, but now a mysterious voice on the phone is claiming that she's been murdered. Unfortunately, though, that's all we were able to glean from said voice, because unfortunately the storm, terrible storm that we've had all evening, knocked the phone lines out, and at some point I believe it actually knocked out the interweb connection that you were using to spy on us. Regardless, if you did manage to lose track of what's going on, don't worry, because I've been keeping notes and I will fill you in. Now, let's begin with the day of Margaret's death. Now, we know that Doris was at the house walking Beryl, and she claims that she saw Geoffrey there. This, of course, means that Doris was there, and we know that Doris had a spare key to let herself into the house. And she's been accused of snooping and being controlling over Margaret, although she does deny this. Now, Timothy, he claims to have found the body. He claims that Margaret left her dance class early, and he did what any normal and respectable friend would do and followed her home, at which point he found her body. Now, that all checks out if it wouldn't contradict with young Richard, the gardener's story, because he claims that Margaret was gardening with him. Now, is it possible she left dance class early because she urgently had to attend to her petunias, or is one of them lying? Speaking of lying, Doris claims that she found a letter written to Margaret by a secret lover. And when she accused Timothy of sending this letter, initially he denied it, although quite soon he went back on this claim and admitted that he had fallen rather in love with Margaret, despite only being her dance teacher, and according to him, only seeing her once a week, although according to Geoffrey, quite a bit more. Now, Timothy changed his mind about this claim after Nancy recognized his handwriting. Now, I don't know what Sister Nancy and Timothy Twinkletoes have in common that would mean she could recognize his handwriting on sight, but there we are. Now, Doris admitted that she encouraged Margaret not to reply to this letter, and so Timothy would have never found out if his feelings were reciprocated. So while he claims he wanted to give Margaret life after Frank, is it possible that he actually gave her death after Doris? Moving on, we've learned that Geoffrey harbored a gambling addiction, which he claimed to be over after him and Margaret spoke to the Reverend about it. But unfortunately, we've just learned that that was untrue. Now, Geoffrey had been keeping this gambling addiction a secret on account of the fact that Doris had talked Margaret into taking him out of the will if he kept this up. And so the way he was fueling this gambling addiction was by pawning off Margaret's jewelry. Now, is it possible that young Florence picked up her necklace at one of the places Geoffrey had pawned it? Or is it possible that Florence is in fact telling the truth, that she was left at an orphanage with this necklace and used it to track down her mother, who she claims has given her a letter, but she has yet to produce? Now, this necklace has a deeper meaning because Richard claims that he had this necklace in the past and gifted it to Margaret during their love affair before the war. Now, is this the secret love that Doris was accusing him of having, or is it possible that Richard has intimate relations with somebody else? Hank is a mysterious fellow, isn't he? Now, we've just learned that he went to prison and he resents Margaret because he blames her for the fact he was sent there. Unable to take revenge on Margaret, or so he claims, Hank took revenge on her son by getting him into gambling. And the Reverend knew about this. He may not have known that Hank did it, but he did know about Geoffrey's gambling addiction, but he couldn't talk about it because of his religious confidentiality. Now, Sister Nancy, she also has religious confidentiality, which stopped her from telling anyone about Florence and Margaret's relationship, or at least what she believed. Now, being a nun and keeping up religious confidentiality and raising funds to save a near-bankrupt orphanage all sounds very by the book, but unfortunately blackmailing doesn't. And we've just learned that Sister Nancy was blackmailing Margaret about her information about Florence for money to save the orphanage and had forced Margaret to change her will. Now, I hope you kept track of all that because there's a lot going on. For the time being, we're about to spend the night in a manor which may or may not have a murderer in it. What could possibly go wrong? Butley, what are you doing?
I'm trying to sort out what to serve for lunch today, whether it should be duck confit or steak.
Never mind, forget I asked. I have news. I have gossip. Dare I say it, I have drama.
What on earth could have possibly happened so early in the morning?
Well, that's just the thing. So there I was, getting up nice and early. Now, it's nice to have a big group of people, so I got up early, made breakfast for everyone, and there I was with my little trolley early this morning, walking down the corridor, knocking on everyone's doors, because people tend not to be expecting visitors at such an early hour. And so that's when you tend to, encounter people at their most natural, shall we say. That's when you learn the real drama about people. But unfortunately, when I got to Doris's room, I encountered more drama than I bargained for, and so I came straight to you because I felt like you're the person that I should talk to about this.
Well, how do you mean you saw more drama than you expected? I'm surprised she's even awake the amount she put away last night.
Well, precisely. Now, Margaret and Doris have stayed here before in the past, and Doris does have a tendency to get a little bit sloshled. So it didn't surprise me when I knocked on the door and she didn't answer the first time. But usually after the second or third knock, she's, called or moaned from inside, and I've opened the door and found her usually hunched over the toilet bowl, and then I've had to clean up quite the mess. This morning she didn't respond at all, and so I became naturally concerned. I let myself into her room. The door was unlocked, and when I got in, I was half expecting to find her passed out from the amount she put away last evening. And in a way I did find her passed out, but not quite as I expected. I found her face down across her bed with one of our knives, our steak knives from the kitchen, just plummeted into her back.
Is she okay?
No.
Oh, well.
No, she was very dead, I'm afraid.
Okay, so what we need to do then is we need to make some arrangements. There's not a lot we can do before the next ferry comes. So, I mean, we need to clean the mess up. So you're going to have to clean the room.
I would like to clean the sheets. Yes, they are rather bloody. We have a freezer in the kitchen. We have one of those. Yes, we could.
Freezer. Absolutely. So I'll just drag her in there. That'll be my first port of call after this conversation.
And we should probably tell the others, because I imagine, you dragging Doris's body down the corridor will raise a few eyebrows.
Well, we'll have to see. We'll come to that in a minute. But we ordered them all to go to bed, so surely somebody has broken the rules.
Yes, well, unfortunately, I cleaned up the drawing room after everyone had gone to bed, and then made my way to bed as per my usual maiding routine. And then, as I just told you, I got up early, made breakfast for everyone. So no one came in the kitchen at any point early this morning. And then when I walked down the corridor, I didn't see anyone out of their rooms, and that's when I found Doris. Did you see anything suspicious last night?
Well, after a long day of butlering, I thought I'd wander around the corridors in the wee hours, stressing out about this menu for today. Sitting there thinking, duck or steak. Anyway, so I was wandering up and down the corridor, having a think, making sure that everybody was still in bed, when I saw our dear friend the Reverend wandering out of one of the rooms. I didn't catch which one, he was just coming from that direction. But they've all been
Doris and Richard's room are.
Yes, Doris and Richard's room. But they've all been friends for such a long time. I can imagine he easily could have gone and whiled away an evening having a nightcap with Richard, or maybe dealing with Doris after she's found out that her dear friend is deceased.
Yes, that wouldn't surprise me. The Reverend and Richard are very close, and it wouldn't be the first time they've stayed in the same room. And also, everyone trusts the Reverend, so he would be the first person that Doris would call if she'd fallen ill or fallen on a steak knife.
Well, we'll have to see. So, order of the day then, I guess, is move Doris into the freezer, clean the room, and then who should tell the party about this unfortunate happening?
I think they respect Jude more, so perhaps it should be you, and I'll clean down the room and come and join you for lunch.
Okay, I think that might be a good idea. So, first, freezer. I'll take some time to tell the party that their dear friend is deceased, and then I'll serve them lunch. I think, as it was a steak knife in the back of Doris, maybe I should serve duck.
Excellent idea.
Thank you. Hello everybody. Now, I've called you all here before you go off to lunch for a very important reason. So this morning, I'm sure you all enjoyed your breakfasts, hand delivered to you by our maid. She is fantastic. That lovely personal touch that she has. However, while she was going around and doing that, she went to go and deliver to your friend Doris, and you may notice that she's not here. That is because we found her in rather a state of disarray. She was face down on her bed with one of our steak knives in the back.
Oh.
Sadly, she has passed on.
Oh my God.
So before we go in for lunch, we've still got a few minutes until Cook has it all ready. The special today is duck. But just, yes, get yourself comfortable. We'll call you in for lunch when it's ready. But I just thought I should let you know that that's what happened in the night. So not only one murder that's taken place within your little circle of friends, it's two.
Oh my God. How can there be another murder? Someone here is killing people. What on earth is going on? I don't we all get out of here alive. I don't know what to think.
Did anyone hear anything last night?
I didn't hear nothing. Anybody else?
No, I'm a very heavy sleeper.
Just a storm.
I'm wondering if anybody was out of their room last night. Reverend?
Yes, I did leave the room very very briefly, I was looking for the loo. Yes, looking for the loo, and I wanted to find a hot towel, a cold towel even, a cold towel. It was a stormy night. They tend to worry me.
And did you see
Well,
anybody
I
else
might
whilst you were out there?
No, I didn't hear a word. Didn't
Well,
see
I
anybody.
might just
Didn't hear a
add
word.
that I remained in my room, as was suggested by the butler last night. But one thing that did occur to me last night, in fact, I think God may have spoken to me himself to remind me of this fact, that dear Doris, she found that letter in her bag that an admirer had written to Margaret, which Timothy, you did admit to us all you had written. Well, Margaret and I were discussing this, and she felt bad that Doris had told her not to reply to the secret admirer. So I didn't agree with that advice at all. So I suggested that she write a reply to her secret admirer. After all, it was only fair for her to let him know that she didn't feel the same way. So you see, Timothy, I am fully aware, because I in fact helped Margaret to draft this letter, that she in fact returned a letter to you, spurning your advances and your declarations of love, which I have to say would now be something of a motive to perhaps murder her.
Well, I never received such a letter.
Mm.
Me and her, like I told earlier, we were absolutely in love, and we spent many nights together. More ways than one, but mostly dancing, and it was fantastic. And after Frank had passed, I spent all of my days making sure that she was happy and smiling and going back to the Margaret that we all know and love before we lost her to the hell that is grief. So I believe that you may have told another white lie there, sister.
Not at all. After Doris herself said passion is perhaps a very primal motive for murder.
You two don't half like telling stories, don't you? Nancy and old Twinkle Toes down there.
At least we speak up.
So during my reconnaissance phase, I like to have a nice walk around the village late at night. And I definitely saw Timothy getting all hot and steamy with Sister Nancy behind the orphanage a few days ago.
Oh,
wow.
Now, guys, I'm not done. Can you, so Sister Nancy, I think everyone in this room can agree that old Twinkle Toes is a bit of all right. He's a bit of hot stuff. So that's subjective. So when you were lovingly telling Margaret to let him down, knowing that I've seen you two together, did that not influence you at all when you were advising the letter writing?
Mr. Tank, I have done my best as a God-fearing woman to maintain the wrath that you are bringing to the surface in me. As I have said before, prior to this weekend, I have never ever seen you before. I have no idea why you feel it so absolutely necessary to besmirch my good name. I, sir, am a bride of Christ and nobody else. Why you feel it necessary to say these disgusting things about me, I have no idea. I have not ever engaged in liaisons, as you put it, with anybody, let alone Mr. Twinkletoes. All I did was assist Margaret in an activity that she found difficult.
A passionate defence, Sister Nancy, but Timothy, would it be fair to say that I've never known you to be discreet?
Well,
help us here, because it would be really helpful if we could find out exactly who was lying and who was telling the truth.
Well, I'm not one to kiss and tell on all of my love interests, because quite honestly, we'd be here all day. But if you have a thing for nuns.
Oh.
And do you see how easily riled she was there, everybody?
Oh, I don't know. There's something funny going on here. I don't know what it is. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I bet that's not what Timothy said, though, was it?
Well, we know Nancy's lying. That's the main thing.
Young Florence, you said yesterday you were going to bring a letter. Did you manage to find it in your room last night?
Yes, I did find it. I have it here. I haven't opened it
Give that
yet.
to me.
What, Jeffrey? No, that's my letter. You can't.
I'm just as entitled to read it as you are, if not more.
That is a letter with my name on it. It's for me to open.
I don't care. I am Margaret's only child, and you're a fake and a fraud.
Oh.
Right. It reads, Beautiful Florence, oh, how I wish I could keep you. Your father, Richard, has gone to fight in the war. He does not even know about you. We are not married, so there is no way I can keep you. I will wait, broken-hearted, and pray one day we are reunited. Please don't hate me. I would keep you if I could. Love, Mummy. Margaret Porter.
Do wish you hadn't read that, Jeffrey.
Oh my God, I can't believe this. Why didn't she tell me? Why didn't she tell me? Florence, all these years, I've not known. I'm so sorry. Had I have known, I could have done something about it. But your mum never told me nothing. I bet the Reverend flipping knew about this. Was this another one of those secrets that you've been hiding from us all? Is it?
Margaret believed that you'd moved on, Richard, and felt it best that you didn't know.
Oh.
The war was hard enough as it was. The war was hard enough as it wasn't. But Florence, you're right, Jeffrey. You need to get back in your box. Florence is indeed Margaret's daughter.
Ooh. Can't believe you've known that this whole time.
Right. Well, I think, quite frankly, we've all heard enough. Maybe adjourn to lunch. I heard Cook's bell very, very faintly. I think you're all about ready to eat something, if not each other. Off you go.
Doris is dead, and I'm never going to get the blood out of this knife. But this morning, we've had even more drama than just finding out about Doris dying, although that was in itself very dramatic. We've heard more about the love letter from Timothy to dear departed Margaret, and Nancy is claiming that she knew about this letter as well, and that while Doris claims that Margaret never responded, Nancy claims that Margaret didn't reciprocate Timothy's feelings at all, and she helped Margaret write a letter rejecting him. Of course, Timothy claims that they were still very much in love, but Hank accuses Nancy of jealousy, and he believes that he witnessed Timothy Twinkletoes and sister Nancy partaking in some very intimate and unholy behavior behind the orphanage. Now, is this entirely true, or can we not quite believe anything that Hank says? Now, speaking of dramatic revelations through letters, Florence has found her letter from her dear departed mother and proven that Margaret was in fact her dear departed mother. And not just that, but Richard Dick of Dock Green is very much her father, although he never knew. Now, the letter reads that Margaret wishes she could have kept the child, but being unmarried before the war, she had no choice but to give Florence away to the orphanage, and she never told Richard for whatever personal reason that was. And so he had no idea, but sounds like he was the only one, because even the Reverend knew that Florence was Margaret and Richard's child. But unfortunately, the Reverend, as we've learned, has to keep a certain level of quiet about the secrets that he learns, and he couldn't tell everyone, even Florence's own father. Well, I think we should all see what happens next, and I will try and get the blood out of this damn knife.
I hope you all enjoyed your lunches. Duck, I thought, was perfect for today. I hope you're ready for some after-dinner coffees. They'll be coming around to you now. Perfect. It's been a very eventful day. Oh, Reverend, I went and got your sugar cubes from your room. Apparently, you won't take coffee without brown sugar.
Thank you.
You have to be awkward, don't you, Reverend?
Yes.
I-
Might I just say, Reverend, how I feel you were looking rather on edge prior to lunch, as if you have more than just other people's secrets you're hiding. And now this decadence with the brown sugar. Oof.
Well, what I've seen is, along with you and your rumours, Sister Nancy, what I've seen of old Rev Matthews. So on one of my late reconnaissance trips, as I like to call them, I happened upon his church. It was very late at night, and I did definitely see he had a late night caller, shall we say, and I have it on very good authority that they didn't leave until the next day.
What are you implying, Mr. Tank? Are you suggesting that I'm a philanderer too?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Mr. Reverend.
Doesn't surprise me.
What have you got to say?
Who was it? Who was it then, Rev? Who was visiting you late at night, eh? Hey?
Richard, give
Why
me a
didn't you
moment.
tell everybody.
Does anyone else's tea taste funny?
No. Oh my God.
Oh my! Does anybody know anything?
Is he all right?
I'm
What's
afraid,
going on?
dear, that there's no time now for first aid. He is, in fact, very much without a pulse. He's dead.
Oh my God.
Oh, see a letter on the floor here. It's to the bishop.
Oh, well.
I think I'm going to have to read this.
No, I really must interject at this point. I mean, it's a letter to the bishop. I really must insist. It can only be opened by a man of the cloth. Failing
Just get
that,
on
at
and
the
read
very
it, someone.
least, failing that, at the very least, a man of the law.
Well, Sister Nancy, I think you'll find. 1 minute. Just 1 moment.
What is going on now?
Very, very important. Very important indeed. I think you'll find that I am a man of the law.
What?
Oh, what?
Yes, see. All this time, I may have been posing as your dear, sweet, friendly, and personable butler, but however, it's actually DCI butler to you now.
Oh.
And one of you lot has been doing some very naughty things. Right, I'm going to open up this letter. I want you all to listen very carefully. Dear Bishop Matthews, I hope this letter finds you well, but I fear I am not fortunate to be doing so well myself. I am finding it increasingly difficult to trust that the Lord will continue to guide me and share the burdens of the secrets that I hold. I must confess that my romantic persuasion is such that I will bring shame to the church, but I cannot keep the secret any longer. I'm a homosexual and I've been having a relationship with my gardener for quite some time. What makes this such a cross to bear is that I also know that he has fathered a child, a daughter in fact. This is without his knowledge, as it was conceived just before he left to serve his country in the war. And the mother, Margaret, didn't tell him. I was only told of this a few months ago myself, and I was told in confidence, which I know I cannot break, but the burden is too much to bear. In addition to knowing young Geoffrey is still gambling and his mother will cut him out of her will when she finds out, it just feels like I have his future in my hands. And what is worse is that I know that Hank is still harbouring resentment for Margaret for leaving him at the animal sanctuary to get arrested alone, and this is his way of getting revenge. As for Timothy, I know he plays the field and thinks that by confessing to me, in some way it makes it all okay. Well, it's not, and I cannot carry this around for any longer. I fear I will lose my mind. After all, I'm not half the man my father was, and neither will I ever be. I urge you for guidance about what on earth I shall do. I fear my faith may be dwindling. Yours, Reverend Matthews. Well, I think I'm going to send you away. Sending you away to your rooms to try and gather my thoughts. One of you here is guilty. I'll ask for you to come back when I'm ready. Dismissed!
The Reverend is dead. There's been 3 murders. This is getting serious. And that's not the only revelation that we've had. We've just learned that the butler isn't in fact a butler at all. He is in fact a man of the law, and not just that, a man. And frankly, I don't know which is more shocking. Especially shocking, though, we've learned that the Reverend had written a letter to the bishop detailing all of the secrets he knew, not only the secrets about everyone here, but his own secrets. We've just learned that the Reverend himself was dicking on the dock with Richard Green. We also know that he was struggling to keep the secrets that he knew, and you've just heard this. You don't need to hear this again, so let's just get on with it. I want to find out who the killer is. I mean, I have my own theories, but what do I know? I'm just a maid.
Welcome back, everyone. So, I'm going to give you all one last chance to tell me why I should not arrest you right here on the spot. I'll call your names and you're going to tell me, well, prove to me that you didn't kill any of these people. Jeffrey, your turn.
Well, I wouldn't have killed my own mother. I understand that at times our relationship was stressful, as I've said before, but she's my mother. I could never do such a thing. And the Reverend had helped me in the past, and albeit in the long run, I still have the addiction, but he was still there. But I couldn't have killed my own mother.
Timothy.
I couldn't have killed Margaret. I already told you how much I loved her, and I wouldn't have killed Doris, even though she was an interfering cow. She was just she was nice enough. I didn't have any reasons to off her, and like I said earlier, the Reverend took me in when nobody else did all those years ago. So, and he's always been there as a staple in my time here in the village. So, I would never have hurt any of them.
Nancy, sister.
Well, whilst this weekend has been difficult for me, and I have held my hands up and admitted to my dark sin with Margaret, that is, in spite of what Mr. Hank says, my only sin. As Christ be my witness, I am guilty of nothing more than trying to save the orphanage for those dear defenceless little children.
Florence?
Well, I just ask you, why would I devote my entire life to finding my mother just to then kill her the first chance I got? It's just ridiculous.
Dick?
I couldn't have killed Margaret. I loved Margaret. I've loved her all my life, and I've now just found out that she and I have got baby Florence, daughter, and I couldn't have killed Doris because I knew how much she meant to Margaret. And why would I have killed the Reverend, who just everyone's just found out now how much I loved him? Why would I have killed him? Couldn't have done that.
Hank the Tank.
Yes, ma'am.
What say you, sir?
Look, I think you've all got the idea that I'm not a saint. No, Sister Nancy, I'm not a saint. I'm not a great guy, but I'm not a murderer. I'm an animal activist. I spent a lot of time in my youth freeing animals, but that's as far as I go. I might know some weird people, but I wouldn't kill someone.
Thank you. So, I think I do know who the murderer is. I hope you're all sitting comfortably, ready to find out. Our murderer is Dick of Dock Green.
I knew it.
My father?
And I shall tell you why. When Florence turned up at the village, she was a spitting image of your auntie. I have done my own digging, sir, and I know that is the case. You questioned Margaret about this, and she flat out denied it, didn't she? She did. But you didn't believe her. All of the timings worked out. You're very good at maths, and you knew that this all happened just before you left for the war. You tried and tried to get money out of her to run away with the Rev and start a whole new life together by the seaside. But she refused and claimed that she would finish off your career as a gardener if you told anybody. You hated Margaret, and you planned to poison her from the word go. When she returned home from dancing early, you saw your chance while you were pruning those petunias. You made her a cup of tea, as you always do, and laced it with poison, probably the same poison as you used on your beloved Reverend before disappearing out of that back door. And then, when you got here, goodness me, Doris started shooting her mouth off. And although she may be the village drunk, she speaks an awful lot of sense and truth. She probably would work all of this out and uncover your plan to run away with the Rev and make your whole new life. Again, full of confusion, you saw an opportunity to try and stop her and silence her verbally. But you couldn't manage that, so you snuck into the kitchen and stabbed her with one of our knives that you took from there, without any of us seeing you. Finally, when the Rev cut you down the way he did, all the way through this weekend, all the way through lunch, he was clearly never going to be open about your relationship, alongside finding out that he knew about Florence before you did. The betrayal. The betrayal was just too much, and you snapped. Knowing he was the only one to take brown sugar, you poisoned it, but you hadn't anticipated it being quite so public. What do you have to say for yourself, Doc Green?
Yes, you're right. All this time I've been having all these secrets. Nobody could get them out. Nobody could tell me what I was doing. So it had to be done. I had to get rid of them to get rid of all my secrets. And I'd have got right on with it if it hadn't been for them pesky kids.
All right, Dick of Doc Green, you're coming with me.